Feel like everything in online business is getting louder, but less helpful? Same. That's exactly why I created the Empowered Edge, a Friday email that cuts through the noise and delivers the good stuff. What I'm testing, shifting, and doubling down on to grow a digital product business that actually works. It hits your inbox every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, and you can subscribe now at empoweredbusiness.co/edge. And after hearing this, if you think, I wish Monica would just help me figure my stuff out, that's what our new quick win momentum calls are for. In 50 minutes, we'll tackle whatever is keeping you stuck: your product, your funnel, your shop, your data, whatever your next move is. And we will map it out so you can act on it immediately. You can go and book your session right now at monicafroze.com/momentum. Now let's dive into the episode. Welcome to the Empowered Business Podcast, where strategy meets action. I'm Monica Froze, and I'm here to help you create, sell, and scale digital products the smart way, using AI and proven strategies to build a sustainable, profitable business. If you're ready to turn your expertise into digital products that sell and eventually grow into a thriving digital shop, you're in the right place. Each week, I break down real-world tactics, unfiltered insights, and bold business moves. Because building a digital product business should be sustainable, scalable, and designed for long-term success. Let's ditch the fluff, leverage AI to work smarter, and turn your expertise into a thriving digital empire on your terms. Let's get started. Today, I have a different kind of episode for you. Today, I'm talking to Shawn Lemon, who runs The Digital Organizer. And today's conversation is all about getting organized in your business. I have been doing this for 12 years, and because I came into this having been in corporate for a long time, I tend to be very organized, and I'm also pretty type A. And at heart, I think I'm a project manager. So people have commented to me over the years that my business is incredibly organized on the back end. And I know that is not common for a lot of people who are listening to this podcast, because a lot of people who start their online business got into it as a creative. And before they know it, they're running this business, and all of the systems that they need to keep themselves organized, they just don't know how to do it. And that's where Shawn comes in. That's what his entire business is about. So he is going to share some really cool, practical tips with us on how you can get your business organized. And also he shares some pretty cool tools that even I'm going to check out and try. So Shawn is the founder of The Digital Organizer and has spent the last 17 years helping individuals and businesses get better at using their technology. A teacher at heart, Shawn believes the biggest reason people struggle with their tech is because a lack of understanding of the tools, which isn't surprising because they're constantly changing as technology advances. Hello, AI. When not helping businesses operate more efficiently, Shawn loves making pottery, riding motorcycles, and spending time with his wife, Madeline, and their 3-year-old son, Nico. So let's dive in and listen to what Shawn has to share with us so that we can get our businesses better organized and running more efficiently. Shawn, welcome to the Empowered Business Podcast. I'm so excited you agreed to come on here and share all of your insights with us today.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to just have this conversation because it's definitely near and dear to my heart.
Yes, the organized machine that I am. I'm a very type A person. And so people always comment that my business is very organized on the back end, but I've learned that most people's is not. So this is like the problem that you solve. Before we jump into what you solve and how you can help people, I always like to ask people to tell us a little bit about themselves and also your business journey.
Yeah. So my name is Shawn Lemon, and I'm the founder of The Digital Organizer. And I live in the Nashville, Tennessee area. I've got a wife and a 3-year-old, and I work out of the house. I've been doing this business for 11 years. I had a little side hustle that built up to this over the course of 5 to 6 years, and that was actually birthed out of the Apple Store. So I ended up at the Apple Store because I was in video production. I got a really nice Mac and monitor, and I had time because I was a video intern at the time. So I just started reading the help menus and learning all of this stuff. And then my friends would ask me about it, and I started teaching them. And then I had an encounter at the Apple Store. I was overhearing a conversation from the genius answering someone's question about iPhoto, and it was wrong. And I'm thinking, oh, these guys aren't actually getting trained on the software. They don't know how it works. he's trained how to troubleshoot the hardware, but he doesn't know software. I was like, huh, I wonder if I could work there. So I ended up getting a job for the iPhone launch. And so I was there for all the major iPhone launches, and it was a lot of fun. And they ended up pulling me into the training team because that's just what I do. I spent 6 years, almost 7 years, training people on how to use Apple software. They'd buy these new computers and they'd come in and I'd sit down and teach them how it works. But I saw so many people who were really overwhelmed by the mess. It was difficult to learn the tool because of all of the mess, and they really couldn't focus because there were too many problems that needed to be solved before they could get to work on it. And so there are plenty of people who can bull right through that, but there are still lots who cannot. And I started trying to help them within the framework of the Apple Store's 1 hour sessions, and that would randomly assign based on availability. And it just was not working. So I started this, and I've been doing it for 11 years now.
Okay, so what is like the core thing that your business solves? The core
Digital
problem.
disorganization in the four core areas that we work in every single day. So in our business, we have to communicate. We have to get stuff done and store it somewhere. So that's our filing system. And then we have to keep track of what we're trying to do. And that's project management. And then all throughout the day, we have to use passwords. Then you are really set up for success. And you can pull in another tool if you want to and realize I'm using it just for this one thing. And I don't need all of the rest because I got my bases covered and I know exactly where I'm going to go to communicate, where to find my stuff, and I can find it within a couple of clicks. And I know what I'm supposed to be working on.
So essentially, you help other businesses get organized and come up, not just
Exactly.
organize at once. So where do you start with clients? Is it usually like with their files? You have to get your files in order. What's the thing that most people struggle with when they come to you?
Most people struggle with all of it, but the starting place is typically email. And that's because we want to start with the thing that's going to give you the most mental energy back and just leverage all throughout the day. So that's going to be time, mental energy, and clarity. And when we are just being hammered with emails and feeling like we have to keep responding and basically we're reacting all day, then that's not good energy to get deep, important work done. And so if we can tackle that first, calm the storm, feel like we've got communication under control, then we can move on to the next thing, which is usually files.
Okay, I have some selfish questions to ask about email management.
Go for it.
I used to get my work email down to zero inbox, whatever they call it. And a big way I did that was all the things I signed up for, I had a separate Gmail. So like when I signed up for someone's email list, and then I got lazy with it. And now my work email feels like it's out of control.
Yeah.
And I am not one that likes missing things. I very rarely miss things, but I find myself missing things more often. So what are your top tips for staying organized other than don't sign up with your work email to all these lists?
I would say be ruthless about the lists and unsubscribe from a lot of them. And if you find that you miss them, then you can go back and find them again and sign back up again. But we typically want to filter that stuff out of the inbox so it just doesn't hit it in the first place. I think at least since the start of this business called SaneBox. So I pay $100 a year for this, and it filters all of my email for me. It takes my newsletters that I actually want and it puts them in my later folder. Then I've got a financial folder and that pulls in any receipts, shipping notifications, anything to do with money that I want to see, but I don't need to see immediately. And I want to see it separate. So I never clear that out. That's just a running list of thousands of emails. And then my later folder are just a couple of things that I read. And then I read them and either delete them or archive. And my inbox is there for people.
It's called Inbox.
SaneBox, like emails making you insane. And so this is going to make it sane again.
Are there any other tools that you use on the regular to manage your email?
Yes, I use an app called Missive right now. I've used a number of different ones, and I often recommend Spark. But I'm using Missive right now because it is a combination of a ticketing system and an email client, so I can communicate with my team without emailing. So I can share an email that I get from a client, and we can have a sort of text conversation in between all of the messages. So none of our internal conversation has to actually go through an email. And so we never pollute the string and have to try and keep up with it with our own internal conversation. We can assign tasks, assign emails to others, and then we can use AI filters as well, which I'm just now starting to use. So I've connected it with my ChatGPT account via the API. And so it can analyze all of my conversations and then it can sort them for me. It's not all that great. So I'm still using SaneBox and I've dialed it back. And so I'm figuring out just like little laser things that I want it to find. So pull out all of the cold pitches for me and just pull that aside automatically. And then I'm going to set up another one for my support account to say, if it looks like this, assign it to me. Otherwise, assign it to Ryan.
Okay. Now, do your clients adopt these apps?
Yeah. Yeah. So we set up a lot of clients with Missive, either for small teams or for individuals who are working with an assistant, because this way you can share back and forth. It's an easy way to give someone access to your inbox without giving them your password. And then they have access to everything in your account. So it's a good solution for that. There's other solutions to get around that as well, but this is a good one for it. And it's really, if you got a lot of email going on and you have multiple people who need to be involved in this, then it's a great tool. Spark is another good one for it.
Do you use Google Workspace or Microsoft Office?
Google Workspace.
Okay, that's what we use too. And I think most of the people who are listening probably use Google Workspace. A couple questions around that. Is that the majority of your clients as well?
The majority, just because we talk about it more, but we have plenty of people in the Microsoft space and even self-hosted and other situations as well.
Do you find Google's easier to work with than Microsoft?
Yes, without a doubt. And easier and cheaper to administrate. So, if you need to do something yourself, like you can, it's not that hard. And then their support is available immediately. So it's so easy to get support.
Do you use the built-in filters or labels inside of Google Workspace?
For Gmail, no. That's because I have SaneBox already doing it. If I only used one account and I didn't have anyone else involved in email, then I could totally train it to just keep promotions in one place. Updates would be where all of my financial stuff would go, and I would turn everything else off. Financial, like any of the stuff that I need, and then promos would be the newsletters that I actually want. And then I always have the habit of unsubscribing from new things that I've added, or if someone has re-added me to their list.
So I feel like you just solved a big problem for me. And in an attempt to not have everything come to my inbox, I got a help at and then a hello at. And I divided like help at was for our clients and students. So if they're responding to, I can't log in or whatever it is, hello at is where all of our promo emails went out from. So if you're responding to those, I actually in Gmail had it filter into my main inbox so I could have a pulse on what was going on. But now, of course, I don't really touch help at or hello at myself anymore. And the emails are still all coming to me and I get overwhelmed by them. But then I'm also afraid of missing something that maybe my team doesn't know I need to see. And I do need to see. So I'm wondering if I could turn off all of them filtering to me and just use this solution.
Totally. Yeah. So because it's an email client and client is just an app that will pull in other email accounts for you so that you can see it all in one place. That's Outlook. And you can just set them up. So you can have private inboxes and you can share emails from each of your private inboxes. And you can also have shared inboxes and choose who gets access to that shared inbox and to what level.
That's amazing.
It's great. Yeah. So definitely check it out. It's a little on the expensive side at $30 a month per account or per user. But it's a really good tool, especially if you want to incorporate some AI stuff into it. Really great. It's much more professional. If you want to get started with something like this and aren't willing to spend the money, Spark is the better alternative to get started.
Let's move into file management because this is probably the thing I hear the most from people that follow me. They're so disorganized. They can't find anything. And people are always coming in when I get contractors and stuff, they come in and tell me that I am super organized and they're surprised that they can find stuff. So where do you teach people to organize their files? Can we start there?
Yeah, it's whichever file provider you like best and that really makes the most sense for you. That's where you should consolidate everything. That should be your primary filing system. And It doesn't mean that we don't keep the others. You might choose Dropbox for all of your storage in your main filing system, but you collaborate with people in Google Docs. We want to treat other accounts that are not our primary, like mailboxes. We don't store stuff in the mailbox. We're putting stuff there, we're retrieving it there, but the things that we need to keep end up getting stored in our filing cabinet.
Oh, you use Google Drive primarily?
I do. And then I've got all of the others basically, but they're all free accounts. I don't pay for any of the others.
Do you recommend using the shared drives? Because that's pretty much how we standardize. Google Drive, even for my work email, on my personal side of life, I do, but on the business side, like my main Google Drive folder, really never touch. Everything is that I touch is almost always in a shared drive.
Yeah.
Like, we're broken down by marketing, management, all of that. Is this kind of the jive? Or
exactly the same. Yeah.
Okay.
So shared drives is definitely the way to go. Now, just for understanding your audience, have you talked about shared drives and why it's important to use those?
I have not. So please.
Okay. So you guys need to understand that when these cloud file providers started, it was for consumers. And consumers mean that everyone owns their own stuff. That means if I have a folder that I want to share with Monica, I'm going to share that folder with her. And any file that she puts in my folder, she owns. She put the file in my folder, but she's the owner of it. And so ownership stays with her. So if she's a contractor for me, say she's my social media manager and she's creating all of these posts and putting them in my folder, and we end the contract and I'm taking this in-house and she ends up shutting down her account and she deletes her Google account, it deletes all of the files that she created for me from my folder.
The reason I adopted shared drives was because that's how we did it in corporate. And I just continued that logic over into business.
Email does not have access, or an @gmail.com account doesn't have access to shared drives natively unless a Google Workspace account shares something with you or shares a shared drive with you. And then you can see it, but still you can't create them. So that's why Google Workspace is important, or Dropbox for Business is important, because then you get the team folders. And the team folders mean that the data that gets put in that folder is owned by the organization who's hosting everything, not by individual people. It's extremely important, and most people don't. And so you have to migrate all of your stuff from my drive into shared drives or from your individual Dropbox folders into team folders to really collaborate well and make sure that you own all of your stuff.
Okay, that's good to know. Now, do you use any tools with Google Drive or Dropbox that helps organize these files?
Nope.
It's just, okay.
It's just straight no at this point, because Dropbox has the best thing, which would be like it can rename files for you. That, like, you can set a protocol, and when clients upload files in there, it can change the name for you based on the convention that you set. So that's pretty cool. Anyone who uses AI realizes that this thing is not polished, and we're making it work. It's really cool what it can do, but it is not perfect, and the integration with files sucks. So it can tell you like what's in this folder, but then you really can't trust its accuracy with even a lot of math with advanced parameters. It's about a system. And in the end, how we approach this makes it actually really easy, because the reality is the 80-20 rule applies, but an even greater ratio. How much files we're actually using that we have stored is probably in the single percents. We really want to prioritize for that, and we're heavy on archiving. And so we're restructuring and having you pull everything together, realize what's not relevant today and going forward, moving that aside. And we're going to put those in buckets, but we're not going to spend as much time organizing that as we do our main filing system. And then setting that up based on how your business runs. The Japanese have this system for running their factories, especially like any of their manufacturing, cars, motorcycles, and stuff that started this. And the whole idea is to make it as efficient as possible, so that someone who has a specific function in that workshop or in that factory, they have everything that they need right within reach of them. So they can just grab anything that they need. All of the tools, all of the materials that they need are right there, so that they're not having to go out all over the place. And so it's laid out really efficiently. And that's the idea that we want to organize our files by. And inside of marketing, I've got a social media folder. And so everything, the whole process is actually in that folder. So social media is shared with my social media guy. And so we have some resources for him, but inside of that are posts. And at the top level are things that I need to see and approve. And then there's another folder in there called approved. So all I do is go to the social folder or go to the post folder, look at the posts, move them into approved, and send them an email and say, done. If you've got a highly collaborative team, you really have to think about what is it that everyone needs access to and how can we make that happen? And shortcuts is a really big part of that too.
Okay. Do you use the desktop app or do you use the in-browser?
I use both.
Okay. I actually don't use the desktop app anymore. I used
Mhm.
years ago, and I
Yeah.
don't really know why I got out of. I think I
Yeah.
may have been having sync issues. Like this is a long
Okay.
time ago, and I just
Yeah.
got annoyed and didn't go back to it. And now I only use the browser one. Is there an advantage? One, like, why do you use the browser sometimes and the app sometimes?
Okay. So 90%, 95% of my job is typically happening in docs and spreadsheets when I'm in Google Drive. But when someone signs a contract to start working with me, I get an email about it. I click the link in the email to download the PDF audit trail. So it's the entire contract with all of the good details about it. And so I have a folder for clients, and inside of clients is a folder called Monica. So I want that contract to go in that folder. So in my web browser, I set my preferences to say, when I want to download something, ask me where to put it. I don't want my downloads going to a random or even to a dedicated folder because I have to empty that out. I don't want to manage files. I don't want things to just disappear on me that then I have to clean up later when I'm actually looking for something. So my browser is set to ask me where to go. And because I use Google Drive, I need the app installed so that I can put the contract right in your folder when I download it and I don't have to organize anything. Oh, and I'm renaming it right in the process so it gets the perfect name, it's put in the perfect spot that's accessible to me within 3 clicks.
So while my Google Drive is very organized, I just have a main downloads folder. And
Mm.
actually, I use the iCloud to sync it. So it goes across all of my Apple devices, 'cause my laptop working sometimes, but it's not organized.
Mhm.
And so I'm often having to go back to Google Drive to download whatever picture I need for whatever I'm
Mhm.
working on because I cannot find it in the download folder. It wastes a lot of time.
So my desktop, 2 things on it right now. Sometimes there's more because it's a desktop. It's okay to put things on the desktop while we're working on them. It's easy access. But I have 2 things that always stay there. Upload to Searchy. Searchy is the place where I have this resource library where I upload all of my stuff. This is where we sell this to you guys could buy it or we give it to our clients who are working with us one-on-one. So I've got this folder and I always want to keep my raw material because I might want to leave Searchy. That folder is a little bit buried. It's probably like 4 clicks away. And I don't want to save every single file in there. So I have a shortcut to that folder right on my desktop. So when I download the video, I just download it directly to upload to Searchy, make sure it's named properly, and then upload it. And then the other one is shared drives. And so that way I can quickly get to finance anywhere. And usually I'm uploading contracts and I'm uploading media. Otherwise, I'm using Google Docs and Sheets. So I've got specific shortcuts in my sidebar for the things that I always do, which should just be the expenses, clients, just the main shared drives in case I need to view it there. But then in my web browser, I've got probably 15 different shortcuts to different places in Google Drive so that it's available within a single click.
Okay, so I have most of that down, but that
Mm.
little tip of having it ask me where to put it when it downloads instead of just going to that main download folder
Yeah.
that I have is genius. And I think I'm going to try the desktop app again because
Yeah.
I think I waste too much time.
And then if you have a big media file that you're trying to upload in through the browser, you can't close that window or it stops the upload and then it doesn't work. Whereas if we have a big file that we're just dragging into a folder on our computer that's going to sync to Google Drive automatically. Even if we shut down our computer or lose internet in the middle of that process, it picks up where it left off and then, or just tries again the next time. So you don't have to worry about that.
Right.
You
Those
want
are,
another tip for files real quick?
yes.
Okay, so on a Mac, when you click on Finder, it takes you wherever it wants. I can't even remember where it takes you automatically. I don't want it. I never want it to open the folder that it opens. And so I changed my preference. So on a Mac, you can go up to the Finder menu and then choose Preferences, and then you can choose any folder that you want it to go to. And in my case, I choose shared drives because I'm like you, I don't use my drive. I use shared drives for almost everything.
To be honest, I'm redundantly paying for backup because I have to pay for Apple because they're
hmm
backed up across my devices, and I'm paying Google, and that's illogical. I probably pay more than I have to because all of my business files are being backed up between devices,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
silly when I can use the Google app, desktop app.
right. The Google Desktop app is streaming. So it shows you everything that's there, but it's not actually on your computer. So
Right.
you can't consider that a backup. Even if you're on a Mac and you're using Time Machine, it's not downloading all of the cloud contents to your external hard drive. So it really is only in the cloud. Now, there are other ways to back that up. There are cloud services like AFI.ai. You could sync to a NAS, which would be Synology. But then there's a Mac app called Carbon Copy Cloner, and you can connect it to your cloud account and it will download in 5 GB chunks, put it on that drive, and then clear those chunks off. It can back up all 1,000 gigs onto that drive for you.
Okay, that's really good to know because I am very fanatical about backing things up. And I have 2 external hard drives in my house, actually, that everything backs up. My family calls me the keeper of memories, and I'm
Yeah.
always worried about losing my kids' pictures.
You have to be
Yeah.
diligent about this stuff because the technology is lovely until it's horrible and you lose things.
Well, my corporate job was in tech. And so I remember when cloud computing became like the word that people were using. And I had such a hard time when it first started being a jargon. It was like in my early 20s.
Yeah.
I was talking about the cloud, and I would get so annoyed. I'm like, what is this mystical cloud that we are talking about? I just
Right.
could not wrap my head around what it was. And now I feel like a lot of people that, especially that go into business, they're solopreneurs and they grown up with the cloud and they don't really understand the importance of backing things up outside of it. So I think that's an important thing for people to take away too from this.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question, and then I want to talk about project management. That's a big thing that you
Yeah.
guys help with. But I am just curious, how much of your business is working one-on-one with clients versus selling your
Resource
information?
library. The resource library is a small part of that. I offer it to new subscribers who are coming in, and I just haven't created a whole campaign around it. So it's something I created to support my one-on-one clients so that they could do more work themselves if they wanted to and reduce the cost of working with us.
Do you plan on maybe making that a bigger part of your business, selling it? Okay.
Definitely. It was an experiment that I started last year that I've just continued to add to, and then I've completely revamped it earlier this month, or actually late May. And now I'm really excited about where it's at now, and I feel really good about it. So I'm going to probably start running ads and making it a bigger part.
Because the resource library is definitely something my audience would be interested in, because a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of them are going to probably want to attempt it on their own first and get some pointers.
Cool. So it's a files organization guide. So what we're talking about, I expand so much on this in the files guide. So you can go get that from the link in the show notes, and then you'll get on my list. And within 3 days of signing up, I'm going to give you a really deep discount to the resource library that you can just go in if you want that, have at it, and it'll be a big chunk off for you.
Awesome. I have no doubt that people will jump on that. The other question I have for you is, do you still work one-on-one with clients, or is it your team? Because I did notice you do have a team.
It's mostly my team. I do the sales stuff in the beginning. What's going on? Do you need us? Can you do this by yourself? What are we trying to accomplish? And create the initial strategy. From there, it's a framework that we take our clients through, and then everything's customized depending on what they need. My people are really good at doing that. And if they ever need help, I come in on it. I end up finding out all of the new stuff And then I do an AI mastermind. That's actually what I'm doing a little bit later today. It's a half-hour mastermind where I'm showing from basics to creating beautiful PDFs with a single click using AI tools and stuff like that. Then I've got implementation blocks where it's just kind of like a homeroom right after that. We can chat. I can help you implement anything. And then I've got another co-working time once a week, every Friday at 11 Central. I do an hour of homeroom where I'm going to show up and anyone else can join in and work on stuff, ask me questions, and we just keeping the momentum going.
So is this like a program you sell? This
Yeah,
AI?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's called
not
Get
just
Organized and Stay That Way. So it's our one-on-one offering, and we've got two offers for it. Two 90-minute sessions per month and then unlimited 30s with my coaches to get stuff done, or 490s and then the unlimited 30s. We really want to just give people as much time and they can go as fast or as slow as they want to, and then just give you a bunch of resources in addition to that. So you've got help. If you like the videos and you want to go far fast, you can watch those and then lean on your coach. How do I apply this to me? So it's a really nice hybrid approach.
okay. That's good to know. I'm interested in that too.
Cool. All right. We can chat about it.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's talk about project management. I tend to think I'm a pretty good project manager. My team makes fun of me because usually I become the roadblock until there's a project plan. I'll assign a campaign to someone, let's say, and
Yeah.
they'll ask me questions about it. And just, I can't answer them. My right hand person will always say to me, you need, Monica, just please go make the project plan because you're going to be useless to the rest of us until you have your project plan
Yeah.
created. But apparently, I am also in the minority for this because a lot of people don't know how to create a project plan. So we
Yeah.
use Asana, and I'm also, for whatever reason, cannot use any other method but the Kanban method. And I think
Okay.
it's because when I started on Trello, and the limitation, unless they changed it, that I had on Trello was you couldn't interassign between tasks
Yeah.
or between projects. And like it just got really messy.
I
And
can't believe they still haven't fixed that. They're losing so many people because of this.
And I at first was overwhelmed to get everything out of Trello into Asana, but just in
Mhm.
case anyone doesn't know this, there's tools that migrate you to
Oh,
do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Which tool do you recommend the most for project management? Is there one?
It's usually been Asana. And now my project management specialist, Annie, she's obsessed with Hive. So we've become Hive partners, occasionally ClickUp. She's actually moving people into Hive.
So what's the deal with it?
It's a smaller team and they're working harder, and they tend to, it's a halfway point between Asana and ClickUp. So the strength of Asana is it's really on rails, like in that there's a structure that you just have to follow. We've got teams inside of teams or projects. Inside of projects or sections that have milestones, tasks, and subtasks. And so you just follow that, and that's the structure, and you've got the sidebar and it's set up the way it is, but you can customize your home screen. ClickUp is like this blank canvas that you can do whatever you want with. But so many people really get lost in the tool rather than just doing project management. And when you've got so many tools available, it's easy to spend too much time working on that. That's why I'm not a fan of Notion either. It's really cool, but for the majority of people that we work with, it's too many open loops and things that you can just play with. So Hive is in between. And so there's a lot of different things like being able to do client proofs in there. So you can have client proofs. You don't get that in Asana. So it's really good with how they do guests. Their AI integration is way better than what Asana is right now. But yesterday they just did a new release. So I don't know what that new release is for Asana yet, but Hive stuff is actually really good. I think there's an extra view. They've got an email client built in, which normally I do not like. Let's keep email for email and then project management otherwise. But there are some cases where the majority of the emails are related to projects that have to be managed because they're complex. And so it actually makes sense to have it built in for some people. It's this kind of where you have more flexibility, more features than you have in Asana, but you still have the structure.
So that's why I could never get into ClickUp because blank canvas did not work for my type A brain.
It's so overwhelming for me.
Yeah, same. I'm like, that's why Asana, once I really like took the time to look at Asana, I'm like, oh, this makes plenty of sense for my brain.
Yeah.
So are you guys teaching people how to project manage, or are you actually managing their projects for them?
Teaching them.
You're teaching them.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're setting up the system for your clients, and then they're taking it and plugging in all their information.
And we'll sit there with them and build it. So we had one client, he's a Chick-fil-A operator. And so we did email for him and his assistant using Missive. And then we moved on to files for the whole team. And then we got into project management. Annie used to work for them. So she was project manager for them. And so she's got this whole methodology of no-fail meetings and stuff, of just a good structure for meetings and how to track tasks. And she's blended that together. So she helped, and he's a customer of theirs. That all made sense. So we built them a whole different projects for the different departments so that they could have really efficient meetings. And so she built all that out and a whole like hiring plan, because they hire so many people. That's one project. Another one, we helped, got a client who builds spaceports and stuff like that. And so it's like, you guys know the process. We know the tools and how to think about it. So let's bring it together and help you to create what you actually need, built on how you work and how you think. And that's all theoretical at first. And then it goes into practice and you realize, oh, we don't actually do it that way. I don't like that. And so that's why we like having a month-to-month relationships and at different levels. So once you've got the main project done, then you can maintain a relationship and continue to tweak until it's like, all right, I'm in a pretty good place.
Do you have any like basic tips for someone who's getting started? Like they're on their post-it notes or they're
Yep.
using something
Yep.
basic like Google Tasks,
hmm
can't even comprehend getting themselves into a project management system.
Yeah. So I would say, don't do what everyone tells you to do, which is to do a brain dump and put all of your tasks into a project manager. That it's a perfect way to get totally overwhelmed and to stall out, and you'll get really excited with this massive dopamine hit first, and then it's quickly overwhelming. So if you need to do a task dump to just get everything in your brain somewhere, do it in a document. Call that your back burner or something else. And then we take a look at that list and realize, what are the things on this list that are the most important that will move the business forward? Do I need to finish this client project? Do I need to manage that client project, but I also have to do this other thing? So maybe we do some major client stuff, but then also some initiatives for the business, and give yourself like a max of 3. And we put that into our project manager. And it's just like those 1 to 3 things to get started, and don't put anything else in there. And this is the main place that you go to manage that project. And this is something that it's more than a single task. So this is where you look at the tools and you want to learn your project management. If it's a marketing project, what's a part of it? So we've got an email campaign. We need a landing page for it. We need some social media posts, and we need to figure out all of the automations. So we have 4 sections right there. And inside of that, we can create some milestones and then break up the tasks of what actually needs to get done. And the more you get familiar and the more you work it, then you can start adding things in once you feel like you've really got a handle on this, because this is human behavior. Just like you have a hard time implementing a new habit or breaking a habit, this applies. And so you really want to treat this seriously and allow yourself to start small and build wins so that your unconscious mind will trust this system. Because if it doesn't trust it, it's going to pull you right back to paper or whatever you were using before.
Along this line of putting too much into your project management system, I have found this way, at least for now, it works for my brain, where I feel like I have all these moving pieces in my personal life, in the business. And I also am a single mom. So it's just like I need a central place where everything that needs to get done or recurring tasks
Yep.
goes. So I always look at my Asana as, is this a project that's going to have multiple tasks broken down, like our email marketing campaigns or when we're launching? But then there are these random things. So I'm curious what you would do with these random things. I have these random things that's, okay, I have to remember to pay that invoice, or I have to remember to pay New York State tax. Actually, I have to do that today. And that actually is a recurring task I put in my Google Tasks, because where would it sit in my Asana to remember?
In finance.
Okay.
And the finance team and I just have a main finance project, and then I built others as needed that were actually projects. But I've got a section called taxes, and inside of taxes are like 10 recurring tasks. So personal taxes, corporate, franchise and excise, business tax, all of the different taxes that we have that are due at different times. They have different due dates. In the description are the instructions with the link to that specific place. And the due dates are set for a few weeks before it's actually due.
I should do that.
So my Asana is way more built out than what I just recommended because I'm 5 years into it. But at first, it had to be so limited. And then I will expand it because that's how I think, is I just tend to complicate things and then realize I've overcomplicated and have to simplify again. That's just my natural flow. And so it'll get too big and then I have to narrow it down. So my personal stuff that I have to remember, I use Apple's reminder app. And so he said, remind me on Tuesday morning to pay the invoice. Put chandelier light bulbs on my Home Depot list. So that's my main thing, so that when I'm at Home Depot, I just pull up the list and I know what I need to buy. And then when the invoice is due, I get a reminder when it's due. So that way it's in the background. My other random tasks, I might actually use ChatGPT for. So I created a project manager conversation. So I have ADHD, so I tend to just want to do so many different things and then forget about what I just did an hour ago because I got this new idea and so, no, I need to focus back. And so I can go back to this and be like, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Let's recenter. What projects do we currently have? This is what's happening this week. And then so we just work through it together. And then I can shift my priorities, create some time blocks on my calendar, and shift any due dates around in my project manager. So this way I don't have to lean on Annie because I pay Annie as a contractor. So any time that I'm spending with her, I'm paying for. So if I can do that more in ChatGPT, then great. And then she's got more time with clients.
Yeah, I have found that ChatGPT is really good for helping me work through my priorities, these different projects, and I tell it about it. Like I'll start the week with, I have all this content I have to create. These are all the things that, what I have found though, is when I go into the nitty gritty to-dos with it, sometimes it forgets them.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not good at reprompting me in
Nope.
that sense. And that's why I still use Google Tasks because I know it's there.
Yeah. So that's why I have that there, but that's more of me just thinking about what's going on and processing it because I'm a verbal processor too. So just like getting all of that out of there. And then I either do it immediately or we have a few tasks that I'm working on throughout the day.
So would you say accurately, like the way I view ChatGPT is, it is not for the nitty gritty. It is for structure and it helps you thread things together, like themes. It gets to learn you. Like that's why I use it personally and in the business. It will tell me, like the other day, I wanted to write an email to my mom list. And it said, hey, you should talk about how your kids were in the hot tub and having fun. Like it remember, because I was like just telling it all the things I was doing that day and it like threaded it together. So that's really cool. But if I told it some nitty gritty thing that I have to do, it will get lost. It's like a high level thinker almost for you.
And that's what it is. So it's given a ton of information. It finds the theme and assigns a character for it and then compresses that again. So it's constantly compressing and blending things. So that's why it's terrible for tech support. You can't blend tech support articles. It's exact steps or it doesn't work. And so it provides horrible troubleshooting unless you use my GPT. And so I've given it all of these rules and then it doesn't blend, the steps. But even still with explicit instructions, it'll just forget my instructions.
I know.
It's crazy. It'll say, don't use M dashes. It says, great, here it is without M dashes, and there's 3 M dashes in it.
I don't know why ChatGPT is so obsessed with M dashes.
I know. They're technically correct. My father-in-law, he's a CEO of a big publishing house, and so I use M dashes all the time. I was like, but normal people don't. Like, so many of your people are copywriters. Yes, they use M dashes, but we don't. With all the plebs out there.
Okay, this was a great conversation. I have to ask because we've been talking so much on the podcast about AI and I'm like obsessed with trying new tools, but I get overwhelmed by it. I will say that can really bring out the ADHD with, oh, this tool looks cool. Let me try this. And it can be distracting. But what are like the core AI tools that you use in your business?
ChatGPT is my go-to. Most of my conversations happen there. When I need unbiased, because it is insanely biased, it just assumes you're correct with so much stuff, I use a private tab so it doesn't reference any of my previous conversations. Also, if I just want a different perspective, I use Grok. I think it does a good job for a lot of things. So that's my backup. I often clear all of the history. So I go in and I just keep it clear. So I try and keep that account as clean as possible without any sort of bias. Missive. So it has some AI tools built in. Gamma. Gamma is what I'll use to create landing pages or PDFs or presentations extremely quickly. Let's see, what else am I using? There's a free Markdown to HTML converter. So I used to have to do that before they fixed that.
Have you ever messed around with, I think it's called Google LM, where you can create the two-way
Notebook LM. I
Notebook
haven't
LM.
used it yet.
My daughter, she's in 7th grade. She's
Yeah.
12. And the other day, we're in exam weeks right now.
Yeah.
And she was sitting scrolling on her phone. And I'm like, don't you have an exam tomorrow? And she said, yeah, I'm studying. And I was like, it looks like you're in social media. It does not look like you are studying.
Mhm.
Oh, one of my best friends, she takes extremely detailed notes and she uploaded it into Notebook LM and created a podcast, a study guide podcast. And she took the test yesterday and I said, so how did it go? That's the only way she studied was with this podcast. She goes, yeah, it was super easy. And my mind was blown, to be honest with you. I was
That's
like,
so cool.
I can't even imagine. I was such a detailed note taker as well. And I have a photographic memory, which is, people always think I'm kidding when I say that, but I'm not. I would have to write out all my notes again. And I could tell when I was studying, because I wrote it out again, that's how I memorized, but then I would highlight certain things. And in my memory, I could actually recall exactly where it was written in my notes, taking the test. And it made me wonder if this would have helped me, if it would have worked for me. Because I'm sure it doesn't work for everyone, but I just thought that these 12-year-olds, what a clever use for AI.
For auditory learners, sometimes I can see it and I can see, oh, it's a left, it's a right, whatever. And I need to see it. I need to write it. And other times I can remember conversations so well. And so switching something from text to audio or just having both of them to reinforce would be so good, especially if you were to take it creatively, like insert stories and illustrations about that. I remember being so frustrated with this math teacher that I had. It doesn't matter what grade, but I would ask him questions and he'd say, read the chapter. I did read the chapter. I'm like, that's what a teacher is there for, because I'm reading it and it still does not make sense to me. I had to have a tutor for algebra and I just had to do it over and over again and have some examples. And then all of a sudden it clicked and I didn't need another tutoring session because I completely understand now. But it just took a while in practice and then, a different perspective. So being able to have these tools, I think, is really neat for education.
Interesting to see by the time he hit 7th grade, the different ways AI is helping these kids learn. Thank you so much for this conversation. Can you tell us how people can connect with you? I will share the direct link so they can sign up for your guide on files, and that will get them into the sequence. So if they want to learn more from you, where else can they connect with you?
Yeah, so we're on all the social media platforms. You just search The Digital Organizer, or it's Facebook/The Digital Organizer, whatever. So we've got that locked down on basically everything. And then there's a website, so easy to find, thedigitalorganizer.com. We've got a great quiz. So if you're not sure where you need to start, you can start with the quiz, and that'll give you a score on each area and give you a good starting place. If you're interested in working with us one-on-one, you can find us from that website and go ahead and book a call, and we'll go from there.
Thank you again, and we'll be sure to link to all of this in the show notes for people, and I hope everyone enjoyed the conversation. That's a wrap on today's episode, but your next step starts right now. If you're serious about selling digital products and want the AI-powered tools, expert strategy, and real human support to make it happen, then you need to check out the Empowered Business Society. Inside, you'll get AI-driven trainings to create and sell digital products faster, a private community for expert feedback and real-time support, exclusive access to the Monica Memo podcast, and if you go pro, you'll get monthly marketing shortcuts, live Q&As, and 20% off of the Empowered Shop perpetually. Because smart business owners sell smarter, they don't work harder. And the best part, you can get started for as little as $9. The best business growth happens when AI and real humans work together. Ready to make your next move? Join us inside of the Empowered Business Society. You can check us out at empoweredbusiness.co/society. See you in the next episode.